BankservAfrica, which tracks just how poorer or richer working South Africans are becoming, says the low confidence levels in the South African economy have led to further declines in the value of take-home pay in South Africa in the month of May. But as we've heard a moment ago, inflation has eased in the month of May, and the big question is what that means for interest rates and possibly our take-home pay in the next coming months. For that, we're joined by Elize Kruger, who is an independent economist affiliated to BankservAfrica. Elize, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Why are salaries taking a major knock for particularly that month of May, even as inflation has eased, especially seeing that inflation is a major reason why take-home pay has worsened once again?
Yes, good afternoon. So the dismal wage environment has been coming for some time. So yes, May is a specific month we look at, but actually over the last, a year or so, we have been seeing the negative impact of the difficult economic environment on wage settlements and on wage increases. So the take-home pay actually slipped a bit further during May, to a level that's still about 2.7% below last year in nominal terms. However, you mentioned inflation. We are heartened today for the good outcome on inflation, the 6.3%. At least we are seeing a notable moderation now coming through, and it should in the next few months, especially if we move below 6%, it should start to alleviate this eroding effect of the high inflation numbers on the purchasing power of South African salaries. But it's a bit early days. It is still elevated, and we have still seen the negative impact of inflation on salaries.
Elize, the average nominal take-home pay slipped in that month for the actual figure to 14,457 rands. That remains at 2.7% below the level recorded a year ago. But there is some evidence of resilience that has been coming in to the fore with better than expected economic data releases from sectors such as mining and manufacturing.
Yes, indeed. I think that is something small to be positive about. That the last couple of data releases on those sectors were better than economists' expectations. And that talks to the fact that I think the sectors have become a bit more resilient in the light of the load shedding scenario playing out. Companies may be getting mitigation measures in place that assist them in, keeping production numbers up a bit better, maybe than in the past. So that is indeed positive. And if we can see that the sectors are sort of progressing in that direction to be a bit more resilient, despite the fact that load shedding is still with us, that could assist economic growth and could result in a slightly better economic environment than what we perhaps thought we might see in quarter two.
Elize, it goes without saying that an environment of such low confidence is not conducive for job creation and an environment which is comfortable for wage increases. But when you look at the same index, private pensions remained robust, and it has been a similar case in previous months. What's happening there? Are people worried about the future, that many more people are taking up and adding more to their private pensions?
Yes, that is an interesting development that we've been watching over the past couple of months, that the private pension payments kept up better with inflation compared to your take-home pay, i.e. the average salary earner. Now, what we have found in looking into the nitty-gritty detail of the sample of BankServ was that indeed the biggest proportion of the data reflects the government pension fund payments, so basically retired civil servants, and there is actually a clause in the rules of that pension fund that helps to mitigate against inflation. So we're actually talking about a defined benefit for civil servants that are on the state's pension fund scheme, as opposed to a defined contribution. So they are hedged a bit against inflation, and that resulted in this better scenario on average, if we look at the BankServ data. So it's slightly technical, slightly to do with the sample composition. But let me say, generally speaking, one could then say that pensioners are slightly better off compared to salary earners if you look at the current scenario in terms of payouts.
Elize, that's all the time we have this afternoon. Elize Kruger is an independent economist affiliated to BankservAfrica, talking to us about their latest report, which has also found that the job market and the salary adjustments, salary increases, are likely to remain lackluster for the remainder of 2023.